meeting of the Finance and Insurance Committee to order. And we'll just, Jeff and I'll just kind of interplay as we go through, and anybody else, of course, if they have any comments, whatever they need to do, please interject. Any public comment? Any public comments? Okay, seeing none. And Reed, it's my understanding in talking to Ben that you have something that you want to say to the insurance committee, because I don't have any knowledge of it. Is that correct, Ben?
Yes.
Okay. Come ahead if you want to, set up here at this table so that you have kind of, you can look at all of us at the same time. Is that good? Are you comfortable with a little bit of that?
I'm more comfortable standing.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Stand,
Okay.
whatever you do. Right there.
Very good.
Minutes of their board.
Well, I want to thank you all. I know most of the faces around here. I feel like I'm back at Crestwood right
Very
now. So, and Jeff and Ben and Alan and Carl, you two, Mike, is that correct?
You don't know me?
Yeah, Mr. Allen. Alan taught you in field?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it was.
Engelbert?
No.
No.
Grandbaby, right?
It
We
was,
know.
I'm trying to think if you were there when I was there.
It was
I
close.
think it was, I think the answer is no. I think it was probably children and grandchildren
There you go.
instead. I think that was
Grandchildren,
it.
yeah.
This gentleman was in there, but I wasn't smart enough to be in any of his classes. And you are?
Andy Patrick.
Andy? I'm Rita Goodman. Good to meet you. I want to thank you all. For those that are newer on the board, I am with Diamond Brothers Insurance, and our firm has represented the county and their insurance since 2007. So we go back more years than some of you are here. It's always been a pleasure working with everybody in the county and the different departments. I've enjoyed it. I've built some fairly decent relationships with the heads of the departments, and that's been beneficial. I didn't really know how much information, what all you wanted today, but I felt that it was important that you know just a little bit of the history of Edgar County. And usually what insurance companies always ask for is, what do the losses look like? Due to privacy, I'm not going to go into lots of detail, but I will just give you some numbers. And there won't be a test on this, so don't worry about writing it down. From 2007 to 2008, the total losses paid out was $251,000 plus. In 2008 to 9, it was 236,000 plus. In 2009, it was 82. 2010 to 11, 63. 2011 to 2012, 40. And then we finished off and changed the policy term, so there was only 1,700 from July of 12 to December of 12. And then in 12 to 13, there was a little over 17,000 paid. So in all those years, there's been over $694,000 paid out in claims for Edgar County. That's a substantial figure. So if you go to talk to another insurance company about trying to get a bid for the county, this is a negative number. One of the things that has improved, and as you saw, those numbers went down significantly, somewhere in about the 2011 term to 2012 term, the insurance companies came back and said, we are no longer willing to offer a $1,000 deductible on the auto portion. We're going to a $2,500 deductible. We're going to a $5,000 on the buildings. And it was kind of a hard nut to crack, but at the same time, in the long run, it helped the county quit turning in frequency claims, so on and so forth. Probably more common claims, lightning. We do have lightning come in on the electric system sometimes. We have frequency of claims from the county department, unfortunately, because sometimes people claim that they fill their trucks too full and the gravel comes off and it hits their windshield. Just recently we had an issue with a gentleman that got a windshield broken who was driving on the Shiloh Road, and county was mowing and claims that the mower threw a rock and broke the windshield. After investigation, I'm not going to say that it didn't happen the way it did, but because of the fact that the county equipment and the driver had done everything in a very prudent manner, they could not prove any kind of negligence on the driver's part, and that claim was denied. And I had a very unhappy young man, and then I found out in talking with him for a while that he didn't have any comprehensive coverage on his truck, and that was the biggest issue right there. So that sort of gives us just an overview as to what kind of claims history we've had. We were with a company called HCC up until last year, and last year it was put out for bids and IPMG had a better quote. So for the property and casualty, we went to IPMG. There are fewer and fewer companies that write municipalities. So if you want to go shopping, you don't want to go to Walmart where you can buy everything. There are very few, so you got to go to a specialty place. So very few companies will write municipalities. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's, you want to run those down that direction. There's 3 more here. Do I share copies with
Anybody?
Whoever wants
Sure.
it goes on the table.
Yeah, anybody.
No, don't let him.
I didn't read anything.
Well, I don't, I never try to hide things, I mean,
No,
Nope.
that's the
We don't want
that's the
to.
way I do
That's
things,
absolutely
I
don't
don't
want to.
hide. I'm also thinking that I'm dealing with a handful of very intelligent people, so I'm not going to read all of this to you. You do see on the very first page, this is a December 1 renewal. So that means that we need to have a vote relatively quickly so that I can say to this company, yes, we do want to renew this policy. The inside tells you that it does start December 1st, and the proposal you're looking at goes from 14 to 15. You'll see liability coverage. And you notice in the middle, it shows the deductibles. There's a $5,000 deductible on liability. Next page shows the law, the auto, shows you the $2,500 deductible on the comp and collision coverage on the auto. Down at the bottom, it shows you more coverages that are included. Public officials on the next page.
What page you want to read, please?
That's actually page 4 is public officials. I'm sorry, I'm gonna give you a few minutes just to look through this.
Oh, it's better if you do it, honestly, I think.
Page
I mean,
9
if
is
you have
the
something you
important
wanna
one.
hi- If you have something you wanna highlight, and
Page
if you don't,
9.
that's fine too, but if you did, better way.
One of the things that I do
Something
want
new or
you to
different or
remember,
whatever.
because of the fact there's so few companies that write municipalities, they write them geared towards municipalities. So what I consider whistles and bells in some policies are included in these policies because they're written specifically for municipalities. Okay? So there's going to be a lot of extra coverages that are built into this policy. And that's what page after page you see. On page 6, that actually is just a total that shows on the building values we have 11,052,984. Back in 2007, when Monty Spillman came to me, and he said, we are looking at possibly changing insurance companies. Would you be interested and willing to talk with us? And knowing that there were few and far between companies that wrote municipalities, I knew one gentleman who I had met from the past, and I said, let me give John a call, and if John says it's feasible, I will let you know. And I picked up the phone, I called my old buddy John Sanford, and I said, John, county's thinking about going out for bids on property casualty. Can we do them any good? And he said, this year we can. And that's when we wrote HCC. I went back to Monty and I said, in terms of the coverage that's on the policies right now and what we quote, give me some directives. And he said, I want you to quote apples for apples as best you can. So we went and we got copies of the policies and we tried to quote building for building, anything and everything exactly as it had been written. Now, I will be the first to admit we didn't spend a lot of time looking at the building values. I will also be the first to admit that if you look at those values right now, I think you would be in agreement with me saying they're probably not high enough. But when I say to somebody, your building isn't insured for enough, what you heard me say was, I want more of your money. Okay? And so what we did to protect the county, we took the buildings as they were written, and every year there's been a minimum of 3% increase built into those buildings. So that there would never come a time that we would look back and say, oh my gosh. You know, now I realize we spent $3 million on the courthouse. We did not increase $3 million worth of value on the courthouse. Do we have enough to build the courthouse back? No. Do we have enough to build something back? I hope so. We did have a terrific loss at the airport, I think the first year or the second that we'd written the policy with HCC. And the company paid $153,000 thereabouts on a hangar, and we did come back and increase that hangar after that because it was not insured for nearly enough. I spoke with Dwayne Fiddler a few years ago at the ESDA office, and he was really concerned, and he actually invited me to come out because he wanted to know what kind of coverage we had on the county policy for that building. So I went out and sat and talked with him, and he said, we don't have nearly enough coverage. And so we did increase the building, and we did increase the contents. I have to do whatever you guys want me to do, you know, but like I said, what we've done is we have increased those values about 3% every year just so they didn't get farther behind. The trickiest part of the county renewals, and I'll stop at page 9 because Jeff's already found that page. That's the important page. Any treasurer is going to find the bottom line, and Jeff has a nose for it, just like a dog looking for a fire hydrant.
That's a great analogy.
He found it, and he's already looked at it. For those that do not know, last year the renewal was 142 something. So yeah, we're talking a little bit more money. From there on, you get into schedules. This is the part that makes this tricky, because there are 3 schedules in this policy, and you're going to see all 3 of them. There's a vehicle, there's a building, and there's an inland marine. The vehicle schedule changes sometimes on a weekly basis. With the insurance company, we look at one picture, one day, and that is December the 1st. So on December the 1st, we look at, here's the list of buildings, or here's the list of vehicles. We are going to base the insurance value on those vehicles. As those vehicles change during the year, unless it's a dramatic change, they do not make a change on the policy, because they know those vehicles are going to change. And I would be busy every day just trying to keep up with them sometime. There are, I think, 57 or 59 total vehicles on the policy. 57 right now. Most of those come from the highway office. The rest of the others come from the sheriff's department. Probation has, airport has, animal shelter has, public health has none. Courthouse doesn't have any.
Chairman of the board.
But, no, the chairman of the board doesn't have a vehicle.
That's
So-
not listed here.
So
That's
you've got,
certainly something we need to look into.
you have a vehicle schedule, then you have a building schedule, and then you have an inland marine schedule. The inland marine also largely comes from the highway office. It's all their equipment. So I have,
Got the new one on there yet?
I have quickly taken you through the proposal.
Time for question.
Yes.
I have a question. Whose responsibility, like building values? I'm guessing the courthouse would cost more than this, but we've got on all of our buildings.
Probably, if you built back the exact same thing.
Well, sometimes I've thought that the insurance company kind of balks on you when you don't have them insured close to their value. That's not correct?
No, that is correct. What I could do, if you want, is I could get a commercial appraiser to come in and appraise every commercial building and look at the values to tell me what it would cost to build it back.
But I think what we're talking about a lot more money. I understand that. I mean, we're probably gonna have a lot more buildings than that value there.
Are you looking like on page 17? I'm just curious. Oh, okay, I was just, yeah, what I was looking at, because you brought up the courthouse, I wanted to make sure I was looking, because I had kind of the same idea. On-
The
are you on
courthouse,
17?
you're on page
Page
17.
Top, it's at the top.
At the very, very top, it'll
Right.
show you the building value, and then right beside it, it shows you the contents.
Right, so what you're saying is that we have, if something, God forbid, happens to that courthouse, something bad, we would have $6.3 million roughly to put up a new courthouse? And include, that included into that $400,000 of stuff inside it, right?
Now,
Or,
I would have to honestly go back to IPMG, because they sort of write this as a whole
Sure.
blanket total. And I would have to say, okay, the courthouse is totally destroyed, it's gonna take 8 to put back what we want. Because we had that 11,000 blanket on the whole thing, can we put that much on the courthouse? I'd have to ask them that question, because sometimes blankets work that way. You have to establish a value on a policy just for a basis
Sure.
for that premium.
I guess, so the two big items that I was worried as I went through here is like, and I'm glad Ben brought it up, because it made me think of it more, is the courthouse and the jail. As I looked through these very, very quickly, those seem like the two biggest things that we would have, and I'm talking about for public safety, and I'm talking about for, you know, moving with the county forward.
Sure.
Those two buildings, I guess what I would say is, do we have to have concerns about those? And maybe that goes back to your answer of, you'd have to go back to IPMG and double check. I mean, I don't think both those are gonna go at the same time, but.
We
You know,
gotta
like,
talk
if you have
about
like,
risk.
if, what, I don't, I'm saying, like, if you have an earthquake, you know, that's what I worry about, or tornado, or something bizarre.
Fire.
I mean, those, yeah.
Well, it's not been that long ago. We ran into the same dilemma on the agency that I worked for. And we had came to this conclusion when we were looking at it. What we did was we hired an independent firm, we bid it out, to not only appraise what we had, but do a 3-year update. And that way we always knew what was going on. Then it took a period of a year or two till we got into it, and then we determined, based on the appraisal, what we did as far as insurance. And we worked with the insurance company at that time to integrate in the appraisals with what we needed to do and what was fair.
I was concerned back years ago when we had the claim at the airport. Because remember, I wrote that policy exactly as it had been written.
Sure.
It was so underinsured, it wasn't funny, and they paid every bit of it 100%, minus the big operation. So that's why I'm saying, I think the blanket limit kind of frees you from that, but at the same time, you still want to have enough on that blanket to cover them. And ideally, they should all be insured at 80% of the total replacement cost.
That's what I was just gonna say, because that's, as I recall, what we wound up doing when negotiating with the insurance company. We didn't go up to full value, but we came up.
My understanding is if you don't insure for 80%, they have reason not to pay you.
They can. Well, no, they would pay you for the percentage that you were insured at.
Oh, yeah, if you were
You don't lose it all.
30%, right, then you're
Yeah.
gonna get 30% of the.
Right,
Yeah.
if you've got a $10 million building and got a $3 million insurance, they're not
But
gonna
is it
pay you.
even practical to try to pay for rebuilding that building? I mean, if the building fell down from an earthquake tomorrow, we're gonna put up a pole barn with that kind of money to replace it probably. I mean, we can't put up a sandstone
I thought that's what.
and replace all the antiques in it.
Look at all the buildings and get us a,
Yeah.
I thought that's part of what they said they were gonna do, and get us a
Yeah, I was
value.
gonna ask the same thing.
Hmm?
It could be.
Get us an actual, measure the buildings, look at them and give us what we should.
Maybe the
You said
next,
Who did you say was doing that?
Bushy, I thought Bushy was supposed to.
maybe we should have a meeting with Blue Shoe now to clarify what they're gonna step in and do.
I agree.
That's why we're paying them.
I thought that was one of the things that.
I'm not sure.
We
Yeah, I
did.
know it's on that list or not.
Well, they've already emailed us and asked us to do that, to fill in the values of those buildings. But we're
Well, it's not
not,
cheap.
we're not qualified to do
We
that.
can't, we can't do that. We can hire somebody, but.
Yeah, and that's not a cheap process. I mean, you talk about an appraisal.
Yeah,
You
they're not
what
gonna
you
do
pay
it for
your
free.
house.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine what
But
it
we're
would be
paying
like to have our
to
buildings
do that
appraised?
Already.
When's the last time no one's done that?
Not since
Robbie,
2007.
If it was correct when Rita started, then it's still correct. because that 3% will pick it up, but it wasn't correct
With Dan.
when you started,
That's right,
right?
it wasn't, unless you had an appraisal to go by.
Yeah.
I bet you guys just went off whatever the insurance
Right.
was the year
That's what
before.
it is.
I mean, that's a very common.
Right,
I
they were
can't-
doing
I can't
apples
tell
to
you.
I'm not
apples.
sure about this, Ben, if they, you know, I don't know that contract that specifically, if that's a call or not on that. Yeah, that's as simple as a phone call there, but
Sure.
this is,
But you mentioned something about having a commercial, somebody come in
I could probably get somebody.
from your company
IPMG.
to make a recommendation, or, you know, or just give us a ballpark idea.
I can definitely talk to them and find out what's available.
And they would not do that probably for free.
I don't know, I'd have to ask them.
If they did it for free, they would expect you to go by the figures that they came up with.
Well, we need to at least explore that.
Right.
And then maybe, you know, get with Bushu, find out where they're, we could actually marry two things,
absolutely.
and then we'd even be more confident of what we were dealing with.
Well, that would be a good thing too. You have two different.
Is that gonna
eyes.
raise the premium if you raise the?
It possibly could, but that's a decision we'll
That
have
needs
to
be
make.
done.
Yeah.
Now, is that
I don't
going to
think it's
raise the premium
possible.
if we increase the values?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
That's what I thought.
That's-
You're gonna pay for what you get.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Right.
we increase by, 10%.
Well, it depends on what
You
risk
could
you
almost
want to take.
guarantee that.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
How much
right,
money,
how much,
Now be careful, guys, the chalkboard up there
Yeah,
is
right.
waiting for one of you guys to say something.
I'm sorry to interrupt your
Slowly
presentation.
gaining on
Yes,
knowledge.
that's
You're
what we're,
fine. No, you asked questions.
no, I think this is good.
I appreciate that too, that you're,
Well,
that you can
for
jump
the
back
jail,
and
there's no
forth.
way you're gonna replace the jail for $1 million, right?
Yeah.
There'd be no
I
way.
think for
But you gotta look at risk, guys. I mean, those buildings have been there for frigging ever.
Right.
Yes.
And the probability of it blowing down next year, or earthquaking or burning up is a lot less than your house. I mean, an insurance company don't wanna tell you that,
But if we ask the insurance company what they're comfortable with, that might be a good first step, and then ask Bushu for their input,
I
then we're gonna
totally
be in
agree.
better shape,
Okay.
right?
I'll get
How
you an
long,
answer.
what's the time frame on this? December 1st?
Well, we-
December 1st
We've
is-
pretty well said it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
this
right
one
You
here.
can amend
Oh, okay.
anything,
This is,
Yes.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
property.
Yes.
but we just gotta
So,
decide
Our
what.
you're
property
saying the next
tax
time.
December. Yeah, I mean,
course,
that's
well,
something, it's like 1,000 other
between-
things we say, we need to look at,
Mhm.
we need to look in the future, I'm not sure how much we get all that stuff done.
we need to head in the right
The
direction.
reality is, it's one of those things where if you wanna be close, you need to keep updated.
It's kinda like vehicles as they come off and go on.
Right.
You don't adjust them every day. It's based on what, once a month or?
Once a year.
Once a year.
Once a year.
So, but we're still covered no matter what.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
And
are we-
and I have records.
Right.
Are we still pretty well, the other thing that brought up in here as far as I think of the highway was, you know, whenever they make initial purchases of 125,000, 150 for one of their vehicles, then your picture that you took on December 1, that's still okay if we buy that on February 1?
That's correct.
Okay, so I
And
mean,
there's
they're
no
just,
adjustment to the premium.
right, that's what I'm saying, because odds are,
Yeah.
they didn't necessarily go out and buy 10 of those that are brand new.
HCC, if they bought a big truck, a semi, a tandem, something like that, HCC did come back with additional premium on those.
Okay,
IPMG has not.
okay. But they know that that's something that the highway department turns in to whoever, so that they know that, you know that they have, or Leanne knows that they have, it gives it to you or
I'm
something.
I'm going to tell you how it has been working, and I'm gonna tell you how it works right now.
Okay,
Okay. How it has been working is that I get an email from either Brenda or Dirk.
Mhm.
They send me an email and say, we've done this, I need to add it today. Brenda has extra insurance cards because all they say is fleet. So they can take an insurance card and put it in that new vehicle. And that, they know, that I know, I shoot an email to the company, make them aware of it, we just don't adjust the policy.
right.
Everybody's on the same page. It's become more difficult for me to do that because I've been told once or twice that I am not to make contact with the county departments, that I'm to work through issues.
Right.
That's more difficult because things don't seem to get done in as timely a manner as I wish they would. The application for all this stuff comes in, and it's like 25 pages long. The thing that makes the county renewal difficult to do is as much as anything to review the lists. The inland marine schedule and the vehicle schedule is cumbersome. The only thing that I can remember changing on the property was when 908 North Main became county property, and it got added to the policy, and it is on this list. The other schedules change so frequently that you have to be very prudent, and you've got to talk to these departments, and you've got to find out who's doing what. I started the process, and then I received an email saying, the county board doesn't want you to do it this way, they want you to deal directly with the consultants.
Right.
So at that point, I stopped. October the 30th, I still had not gotten anything back. So I contacted the consultants saying, this is a 12/1 renewal. I'm getting concerned. I got an email back stating they were concerned too. My email went to Carrie on November the 10th, saying around the 9th of September, I forwarded the renewal application, and basically I still don't have anything back. And her response to me also on the 10th was, we've had the same concerns. It appears that with the election, the county has been very busy. At this time, please proceed forward with renewing the coverage off the expiring term. Do you remember what I said about you take that picture, that one picture that looks at the renewal date? On that December 1st renewal date, I wanted the right vehicles on that schedule.
Right.
I wanted the right equipment on that schedule. Could I have gone back and changed it? I'm sure I could have, but I'd rather do it right first, okay? So I did contact. I contacted Brenda. I said, send me a list of your vehicles. I contacted Vicki at the jail. I talked to probation. I talked to the animal shelter. I talked to Lisa at the airport. I corrected all the schedules. So everything that you're looking at, to the best of my ability, is accurate information. Her last thing is, we will provide you with a revised, completed, and signed application upon receipt. Today is November 24th. Your renewal is December 1st, and I'm still waiting.
November 17th, I received an email from Boucher requesting every department on their vehicles. So I start calling every department. Vicki said, well, I provided that to Vicki a long time ago, to Rita a long time ago. Got it, we sent it to them. We've created a third party that makes it more difficult because we now have a middleman. I have called and asked questions before on the health insurance when it was coming up for bid. And I was told by Boucher, let me call Kurt Good and I'll get back to you, rather than being able to go directly to Kurt Good. Today, on all of the stuff that Boucher handles, today is a good example. A couple weeks ago, Amy, I never used to do anything with unemployment. The claim would go to Pam. She would contact the department head, do you want to protest this claim? So I told Amy this, that it was best to talk to the department heads. Pam sent her an email because she was requesting one. I sent her a list of the people that were being laid off at the highway. They were layoffs, protest. We got one today that the answer is due the 29th. She sent it to Pam. Pam is going to tell her that she needs to talk to Brenda. Brenda's out to December 1st. Last time that they sent a request to Pam, the email was dated the date that our response, whether to protest or not, was due that date. So it's not as direct, fast, and quick and easy as it used to be.
This Pam's at Boucher.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pam is our payroll.
Oh,
And our payroll, Pam.
So we're
So,
having to go through Boucher to do all this.
yeah, and
And they're not getting their part done.
it's gotten real cumbersome, like Rita said.
It's not streamlined. Communication.
Well, they don't do the work themselves. They find somebody else to ask to do it. So their responsibility is, who do I ask? So instead of asking me to go ahead and proceed with getting the schedule put together, because I wasn't supposed to talk to them because I'm on the insurance end, they shot it to Billy Ann and said, okay, you do it. And not only did they ask her to do it, they asked her to do it about 3 months later than it should have been asked to be done. Because this application came in back in August or something like August, first part of September. So, you know, the intent was good, but we're really dropping the ball on timely.
Well,
Timely.
on these vehicles at the highway, Rita would bring it in and say, highway's added another vehicle. I keep it in my file with the work. I have no idea what they've got now until I got the updated list from Brenda. But it's,
What would be wrong with checking the contract that we signed with them and then call one of them and sit down and talk to them?
Well, that's what I
and
think
see
should have
what-
happened.
Yeah, and see what their basic responsibility is. So they're paying them.
Because I'm
big
sure
chunk
what
money.
part of that is that they are under the idea that we had somebody in the county who was in charge of insurance and who was gonna be working with the insurance.
Yeah. That needs to be
And not
explained.
necessarily with the, whether it be your company or any other company, Rita, from that standpoint.
Mhm.
Because that's what I understood that to be too,
that's,
that we had somebody within the county, whoever, or whatever office, that is is the direct relationship between.
now, we never had
Well,
anybody
those-
that went and got all the vehicles.
Well,
Each
that's
department
these
was,
guys.
each department was always responsible.
So what we've done is create the third person, but without having a county
Exactly.
person
Right.
there that actually assimilates information and does that so that they can do their thing.
Well, they've kind of tied their hands. It sounds like when they want them to find out the information, then they tell them. But prior to that, they won't let them amass the information as they go along.
Yeah, I think that's the old, that, in my mind, that would be the insurance company versus, quote unquote, versus the insurance person that we've hired, whatever, you know, the analysis, whatever, that would do that. And so both sides would be, they want to make sure that what's going on is they know it also. Because if they're the ones that we've hired to handle our quote unquote insurance stuff, they want to know everything about it, all about it, everything else. But in the process of that, they've slowed down the process
In this
for
day
them to
and
get
age,
information.
it should be, you know.
I think
push
it would
a
be
button,
seamless.
everybody gets it.
I would think it'd be
Well, just the
seamless.
fact that you got a December 1st renewal date on a commercial policy and no one's gotten back with you is pretty.
Yeah, but now,
That's bad.
when were those put out to bid, Rita?
We didn't bid it.
We didn't bid, the
But this
PEC
was
was
just,
bid
a-
last
this,
year.
right, this is like
just
on the third
renewal.
year, right, this is on the
just-
renewal,
This is just the annual renewal.
Right.
And
right.
this is a process that I've done every year.
Right, and this is a part of, like, we bid it out last year, and it's like on a 3-year process
That is
type
correct.
of thing there.
Why,
That's
why
correct.
isn't Bushu here?
That's my point.
We didn't ask them.
I know, but, I mean, maybe we should have it.
This
I
just
mean,
came
That's
up.
exactly right.
Right.
That's
This just
exactly
came
right.
up.
In
So
my
we're-
mind, what should have happened is
Well,
if
the-
Rita had concerns or whatever, you know, I'd appreciate it, you know, and I think that we should have had those guys in here and bounced off. Same way with Billy Ann's concerns, like, wait a minute,
So we can't
we're all
answer
out of the loop here.
questions, right.
Billy Ann doesn't know what's going on, Rita doesn't know it.
Right.
This would be much easier in our situation, it sounds like, if you could just directly go to the department heads, and if that's what we need to tell them to do, then that should
What
happen.
is Bushu's, I mean, I wouldn't.
Yeah, Andy didn't know who Bushu
So,
is.
Yeah, why
They're our consultant
consult
for all
Insurance.
insurances.
for all insurances?
Right, and human resources.
They're supposed to protect us.
Yeah, and that, you know, that's what, it's just like whenever we had to deal with the health insurance earlier. You know, that there was a lot of confusion, they didn't think it was an acceptable bid, so therefore, you know, we went through their process of saying, no, we're not gonna accept any of these. And it had to be a big bid.
Well, it just seems like we need to get these people together.
But I'm
with
sure
Bushy,
both-
Sit down and say, this is what we expect you to do, this is what we're gonna do. If it's not right, then,
We need to have a working
Right.
meeting.
Yeah,
Right.
well, and I think, and especially so like, they can directly
Mhm.
talk, if that's what we wanna have happen,
well, this
with
one
each
form,
other.
for example, this one form was what, about a 25-page thing, and they wanted to know how many stories each building was and all this for a renewal. It's like, you got the information from, it was just a lot of information to get and acquire.
See, and I always thought that they would send somebody out
that's what I
with a
thought
field.
too.
Because you and
That was
I
my
look,
impression.
in other words, they send somebody out with a clipboard and maybe have Mr. Wilson go with them.
And-
And they go around and they check everything. Because, I mean, we could be doing something wrong over the years.
Right.
We talked about that a year ago when they
And-
asked us measurements of
And then they have-
buildings and
And it could
everything.
be, even in, you know.
Well, there's
we're-
4 or 5 cars that aren't on there that I know the county owns too, I just noticed that.
well,
And
My point though
Right.
is that they
They
were
should have
supposed to
somebody
make
do
sure
it.
we're covered, and the only way they can cover us is to make sure they put their hands and eyes on us. Quite frankly, I don't see how they can do it. You know, junk in, junk out, you know?
I don't think they're planning on doing it. They expect us to be the one to do that, and they'll just get the
Then
information and have it.
then where
Why
are
are we
we?
paying them to do that?
yeah,
No,
Yeah, then
it's
we're-
no assimilation of data.
well, you find out how much we're paying them.
Yeah,
you know.
10,000 a year.
Well, here's their answer, the county's been very busy.
Well, because that's what they got back.
They didn't get anything back.
No, that's what they got back from the
County was
county.
busy.
They've been very busy.
So-
Yeah, the county's been very busy because Billy Ann and Augie are doing the job, trying to do the job that Rita normally does. And so what does that do? That creates excess work for my recorder. And yeah, we are in the middle of a big election season.
Absolutely.
And absolutely, the election is going to come first. And we can't get to everything all the time. We can't drop what we're doing. And when you have people on vacation like we did, and Billy Ann is now stepped in it, you know, doing what the chief recorder does, and I'm running the election, there's no way we can get that information back to them in a timely fashion.
See, I think that's an agent's responsibility.
Well, and also when they said we hadn't received it, she said they hadn't received the signature page. They had received the signature page. They hadn't received something else they had. They'd received all the payroll. So I called her and we talked about that and we got it in.
I'd gotten a letter from Bushy's, and I know, Billy Ann, you got this too. This was dated September the 2nd. This was a letter informing me that Edgar County was going to be bidding workman's comp. Second page says, the release of specifications on or about the week of September the 8th. And they were due no later than November the 11th. The bids were released the 11th. They were released the 11th. And when I sent my
11th
email.
of what month? The 11th of what month?
November.
Okay, that's why I just want to make sure.
November, they were released the 11th. I sent Carrie an email, I sent her 2 emails, on November on September November the 10th, I sent her 2 emails. One was on, why haven't I heard anything back on the package application? And that was because the county was busy. And why haven't I heard anything back on the workman's comp bid? And the reason was because the county was busy.
That's what they're saying, the county was busy.
Yeah.
Didn't you have Bushy at Crestwood?
Oh, they've been all over the place around. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just a
Complaints?
determination we made, but we're not getting services. It sounds to me like we're not getting services as quick and as orderly as what we'd like. And that we don't have the personnel to handle it in the county office.
We're not a big county.
Well, but we don't
Okay.
have, I don't think, we just either need to make some changes within them or not expect as much out of the county, or we need to have more of a county worker to do our stuff, the county boards.
Well, it was done timely and stuff before. I mean, Rita never had a problem getting it. It's just that, like you said.
Right, well, that's
she-
a part of what they would do though, Billy. I understand what you're saying. It's just different. I mean, because we're not getting it done the way you want to have it done quickly.
But I'd like to know what they expect us to do. I mean, it sounds
Some of
like-
these questions can't be answered
Right, until
until
they have
we get
somebody up
together
there.
at a working meeting,
Right.
get all of the principals together,
Mhm.
and get it, we've faced this before over the last few years, when, like, your office, Augie, and out here wasn't communicating correctly in bills.
We had
We got it
problems.
resolved.
Mhm.
So we need to get this, everybody together and get it resolved.
Right.
There's been a couple times that I've been thrown a curve from Bushy's. Like I said, I've kind of felt like that my hands have been slapped a few times and maybe even handcuffed, but I'm not supposed to talk to people. But on the 6th day of November, I got an email from Carrie asking me for a copy of the 2013 to 2014 policies for Edgar County. And I'm still scratching my head on that one. Why on November the 6th of 2014 do you ask for a 13-14 renewal? She would have had it last year after the policy renewed, after you signed a contract with them. And then she asked me for that on November the 6th. I responded on November 6th saying, here's your copies you've requested. And on November 6th, she answered right back to me, thank you for providing me with a copy of the policies, package, and workman's comp. I have updated the county's file.
Which you thought she already had that anyway from last year.
I
Yes,
would have thought.
Yes.
for a year.
I had an email from her some time ago telling me that there was a telephone system,
Yes.
$47,000 telephone system, and her question was, she wanted me to find out what it would cost to add that telephone system to the inland marine schedule. I scratched my head again because inland marine has a funny name, but it means equipment that moves. Telephones don't move. So I emailed her back and said,
Mobile phones do.
adding $47,000 would fall under business personal property, and I need to know what locations are involved, and we can add accordingly, and probably as a whole, it might cost $50 more a year. I never got a response, so I don't know if you bought it or not.
Yeah, we need to get that resolved, but that's.
And I tried for 2 weeks to get an answer from her, and I could have called you directly, and you would have told me right then.
Maybe. Probably.
I guess my
Or got it quicker than a
concern
week.
is what if they don't get back to her by December 3rd?
Or we're covered though, we're
Yeah.
already doing
You,
it.
you guys are the decision
I was
makers.
gonna say, somebody's gotta make a decision if they don't get back to her by then.
Well, they have instructed me to get a renewal offer out there based on the expiring term. So I've got you an offer, but it is not based on the expiring term, because I did do the footwork. And I
When you say the
did,
expiring term, you're saying the December before picture,
that's correct.
year, yeah. And
To
then,
my knowledge, the schedules that you have in front of you are accurate. They were at the time I talked to all the people. The 57 vehicles are the 57 vehicles that were there the day I talked to them.
But that
So-
phone system is a good example where I call them, because they're supposed to know our policy and get the answers, and she calls Kirk or she calls Rita. So instead of me being able to call them directly and get it, it's back and forth emails and phone calls that takes time.
And you could have done it just one time.
I could
instead
have done
of
it
going
in
back
one
4 or
call.
5 times.
Exactly.
I'm like Jeff, I think we just need to have them come in.
We
have like a working,
appreciate-
just like with the audit, yes.
We appreciate the initiative that you've taken to protect us. Thank
Well,
you. Thank you.
I live in Edgar County,
Right.
and I work in Edgar County, and this is my tax money.
And you
In
too,
Edgar
Billy,
County.
thank you for what you've
Well,
done.
do we need to make a decision here before December 1st on something?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
well, we have to vote on that.
How are we
and
gonna
it's
do
not
that?
on the agenda, I don't know if it can be brought up. We won't have a meeting other than
In
Wednesday
previous
before that.
years, when we haven't bid it, it's just automatically been
Rose,
renewed.
yeah, Rose over.
Yes.
That's what
Is that
this
correct?
is.
It
That's
just
what
needs a
this-
signature.
this is
It
a
just
roll.
automatically renews? Mine doesn't, I got it, when I got a commercial
Well, no,
policy.
I mean,
No.
as far as
As
we
long as I
didn't
don't
take any
cancel it.
official,
As
Right.
long as I don't
official
cancel it.
action
Right.
on board.
Yeah.
But I would
On
like
this-
to tell
okay.
them,
this
yes.
first
I didn't mean it, like, I didn't,
Yeah.
Right.
It's different.
I'm sorry,
I see.
Andy,
Yeah.
I just mean it just automatically, we sent them a check, the chairman signed the thing, or
That is correct.
right.
And before, I normally say how we want it set up, but I think last year you guys did it in a,
What they,
do you do two? I thought last year you did 7 in the
Are they a
package.
small company or a big company?
I'm sorry, they did, we paid you
you just need to
250.
decide
Did you?
what you're
Last year
gonna do or
on
not.
How many do you
We
think
voted
we
to
have? 7?
So then I think you need to go over there, we're hearing some back feed and hearing.
Whatever,
last year,
whatever
they
works,
should,
we
you
do
know,
more
whether or
cash
not
flow,
you
whatever you
wanna
do,
do
we
something,
don't
or they wanna do something.
Well, I think we
Can you
messed
work
up on
better
the very
with these
beginning
guys or
because
not?
you wanted
Or
to
they
January
can't,
1,
yeah.
end up with a December
Right,
1.
but that's,
Just on what the
That's what-
contract.
the other thing is, I didn't think the increase, I mean, we don't want any increase, but I thought that was fairly reasonable
It's
also.
gonna be
4%.
within the confines, and that's
Right.
another
Yeah.
thing that hopefully they would look at, being Bushu, and say, if Rita's company would have come up with a $50,000 or $100,000 increase, then hopefully they're the ones who are
We're
gonna come
talking
back and
less than
say,
$6,000.
yeah, then they're the ones who should come back and tell
They're,
us, wait a
they're
minute.
still shooting me emails asking me for more information.
Yeah.
I sent this proposal, I got this proposal in on the 13th of November, and I emailed it to Bush's on the 13th. And they started with more questions on the 21st, and I had my last question before I came. And on my last two emails, when they wanted me to confirm different things, they told me that they needed the information by 10 o'clock this morning. So, I got most of it back. Oh, they also want me to come up with, they want audits from 2007 on the workman's comp. And I honestly don't know if I have them. I told them that Pam would probably have them. I don't even know that I have them.
Check with the watchdog, they probably
Yeah,
got a
that's,
copy of
I think I avoid that.
Get the car,
Somebody to ask me.
Well,
okay,
Thank
so
you,
you
Rita.
will let Augie's office know get a bill over to him just as quickly as you can then for however you're set up to be paid?
There's
I don't know.
Yeah, that would be,
there's options on those.
there is a form
Oh, I didn't see it.
in here
Yeah.
that asks for a signature.
Oh,
right.
Do you,
Yes,
That is,
on page
It's in the middle.
16,
No, it's before that.
So that tells me how
how much is the
Six.
premium for doing it? In other words, is there more
much.
in?
Well, there's not-
6, 7, 8, 9.
One time, yes, it does.
Well, I would think so. We
But
could go
between this one.
Page 10.
between this one and
Okay,
this one.
tell them it's page
Can I get
10.
names for you and tell you about it?
Yes,
Page 10 is the signature page. or-
Yes.
Oh, you're already there.
and then,
Who wants to sign?
All right, sign that. And you'll work out this with.
yes,
Yes, I will.
and then we'll get a bill to you quickly, and that way you can come over and get it on.
that way we won't be uninsured, right?
Right.
Usually about 30
That would be the
days,
biggest
something like
nightmare.
that on insurance.
That would be the biggest nightmare in the world. It really would be.
so what are we doing here, wait a minute, wait, what are we doing here on Tuesday? I thought that's when they were doing this.
What?
No, this is property and casualty. That's
No.
workers' comp.
This
Workers'
is the
comp on
general,
Tuesday.
not workers'
Oh, I
comp.
thought you said workers' comp, that's
No,
what.
I'm
okay.
sorry,
All
if
right,
I
'cause
said
know
that,
we're
it
all
was
in haste to
error.
do stuff here, but I don't wanna get us.
Worker comp's
a
going on
step in
bid,
the
this
hole.
is just a renewal.
That happened a few times too,
Yeah.
Now,
You've got some breathing room on that.
yes.
there won't be any more bills paid until December the 1st.
That's when this is due.
I understand. I just,
No, I meant Monday, a week
okay, well,
from
I'm
today.
just, I couldn't hear the conversation with the other conversation, so just wanted everybody to know.
No.
Okay.
It's gonna
Good.
be- And they've even let us slide for a day or two, so,
Yeah, it's not been a problem.
be a demand check.
I've
It'll be a
communicated
demand
with
check.
them, and
yeah, it'll be
they
a demand.
they understand how that works.
So how are we doing it this year? Are we doing the half and half or?
No,
we're gonna-
we're doing the
she's
whole-
gonna find out
We're
what
either gonna
the,
do half and half, or we're gonna do 25 down to 6 pay. And we're gonna look and see about finance charges to breaking it down.
Sounds like a crap game.
Yeah.
25 down with 6 pay.
thank you, Liv, very
Anything
much,
else?
Rita.
My excuse for meeting?
Yeah.
If you wanna be.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I
Thanks.
appreciate your time. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
She's done.
Okay.
Good.
So the premise of that will be, I'll try to get a hold of Bushy sometime today then, see if we can have them all sit down and have Rita and Elaine and Augie or all God's children, and see where we're going in the future, if we're going in the future, see what their plans are. They've already been here a couple different times, Andy. They've talked to us, any questions, anytime, you know, from that standpoint, they've called in and they've been a part of that process also. What I think part of the premise was a couple of years ago, like, let's look at this, let's have an outside consultant look at our insurance, see if it can make a difference, see if they can look at more risk management issues, see if they can have a centralized point, because I think there was some concern before that time, and she's talking about different issues. It seemed like we were getting, for lack of a better term, had claims turned against us and maybe even suits filed and stuff like that, just to see if a analysis of what we're doing could actually improve our rates and improve our chances for this. And so,
Is that what's happened?
what's that?
Is that what's happened?
Well, We don't know. I mean, there's a side that says, I don't know whether it has or not. I mean, everybody voted for this, you know, I'm the forerunner here because I'm on the insurance guy, so I feel like Jeff does sometimes on the finance on the hot seat, because quite honestly, I didn't know Rita was coming in. I got an email with this fact that she was coming in for our insurance meeting. Personally, I would like to have her there, have that, had her talk to the insurance meeting, if we're gonna have committee, you know, and then have them talk to the committee, and then say, hey, here's what the committee is saying. Just like when you have airport committee meetings or, you know, officers thing, had that done with her, but that's okay, because it's good, you know, this is evidence maybe of your fact, Dan, of why I have committees, because it's good that everybody hears the same thing. We didn't have to have it separately.
It seems like to me, maybe it's a simple, like Lucy's trying to make themselves look valuable. When in the process, this whole thing was so simple, but yet they're saying, no, wait a minute.
Well, that's part
We've
of
we've gotta earn our keep here, so we're gonna complicate this all to hell so that we look like we're really doing something.
Right, or is that what most analysts or most consultants are
That's
gonna do?
what a lot of consultants.
That's what we're gonna do. And so you see that and you try, and then you find it, if it's not worth it, you get rid of it.
Yeah,
I
okay.
mean,
I think it's fair, I mean, we've had them for, what, a year, a
couple of
little
years,
less?
I think it seems like that.
Well, whatever.
Yeah,
Every once in a while, I think it's good to assess where you are.
yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Go ahead.
no,
I mean, for my business, about every 2 or 3 years, I get people call me, I say, give me a quote, here's what I got, give me a quote. And then I come in and I take, you know, now if it's $100, $200, I'm gonna stay with who I got. But,
I think the part,
Actually,
But I think that's the best
we
way
all
to keep
probably
that.
voted for different reasons for Boucher.
Right.
One of my main reasons was, and we didn't, when we haven't got that, which is probably not their fault, I anticipate us getting a lot of bids in, and that would give us a chance to get, well, we haven't got a lot of bids, it's been the same bids that we got before,
Right.
but it sounds like that's the only people out there that are gonna bid on municipalities.
And we're gonna get less and less.
Yes.
right, and when was I just got a note back, maybe I followed that up one way or another. I try to follow those to everybody, insurance or whatever, I'll send things to everybody. But their thing was, because I asked them specifically about that last time, I think it was for the workers' comp. And they said, well, you know, here's kind of, like you're saying, it's turned out to be very few, but we also have, I think 4 other people that bid this across the state of Illinois. You know, and then I think they feel in a bind because of Diamond Brothers a little bit, and some of their issues whenever it's been somebody local, not, you know, like, hey, bid us, we're local too. You know, and we have, but I don't know that they want to bid everybody. Then if it's going to turn around and say, oh, wait a minute, you don't want them to bid anybody else but Diamond Brothers, or you don't, or you only want them to bid because they're local. You know, I think we just need to make a determination. Ben's standpoint, like, we'd like to have a lot of people bid.
Right, that's fine.
Everybody says that, you know, kind of until maybe it comes down, and then you get individual pressure from individual members of people who actually work here in your community. And then it is tougher.
It also may help get a lower bid if you put it out on bid. You get
But then,
companies from all over the state, but Diamond Brothers is one you basically want to bid, and maybe that makes them get the
That's
bid lower.
true.
or maybe it doesn't, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I
maybe
mean,
it
that
doesn't.
that
but
insurance
also-
club, but
It's a tough
it's a, I mean, there's all kinds of things that they always get you, fish you in on a low rate because they get all kinds of credits from the insurance.
Right, and even though this is on tape, I'll say, because I teased Donnie about it, he said, now Zoom, you know, we need to, you know, that we're a local business. I said, Donnie, you're local in 72 counties. You know? I mean,
we need to develop some efficiencies.
Yeah.
Identify some problems, we need to
Right.
resolve them, I'm sure
Right.
everybody's willing to do it.
Yeah,
I don't see it as a bad thing, I think it's an opportunity that we have here to correct things, and that's gonna take a course of correction every so often, and that's what we got.
and I think that's one of the reasons, even as Billy Ann has talked to me before, and she's probably saying, well, it's the deaf ear type thing, and it is partially because I think anything you're gonna do or try, you can't try for a year. You can't try for 6 months. I think you have to try for a year or two. And then you see, like, then that's where I think you go back and you reevaluate. Is it working, is it not?
Because I'm,
You know,
We've got a 3-year contract with them.
You do have a 3-year contract with
what'd you say?
I just started to say, we, given them the opportunity, because we bid it out before, we're not getting any more bids than what we did. It just seems like in the year or two, whatever it is that we've had them, I haven't seen a plus.
They've
have
been more of a
belonging to
hindrance
pay.
than a help, is what
Yeah.
they've been.
I don't see our dollar value.
I think on the general liability, I think we've seen some economies.
Right.
The other two, we've seen more flexibility with the health insurance. We'll have to find out where we wind up on work comp.
Well, just
That's
remember,
what
you
they
guys
do.
too, that we're running out of options, as being the absolute corruptest county in the state. In all seriousness, we're not the most popular. And when you look at our liability and all the lawsuits we've had, I mean, they're not just waiting in line all the way to London to bid on us.
But I think she did show us, I mean, the graph is like this, it's not like this.
Right.
I mean, we started up around $250,000 for a couple of years, and now we're below 50,000 for the last couple of years. Not that that's great, but some of that stuff's gonna start to drop off after 5 years, okay? So it will improve, as long as we still look for loss prevention issues and how to do things more better.
That's the thing that you would hope for.
Do you
Whether or not
anticipate
that happens,
having your meeting before or after the holidays?
I'm flexible. Let me call them and see what we got, and I'll get back in touch with the insurance committee crew, and then I'll get in touch with everybody. How's that sound?
That's fine, that's great.
The other issue is number 2, I assume we're okay
Yep,
for that?
let's roll that one, Joe.
And basically what we're asking to discuss opt-out. We discovered last week, Ellen and I, we talked about it, we thought we better get clarification. The end of last week, we need to pay the buyout, or the opt-out people. And it has been $500 plus the $30. And then, Alan, what do you want to explain it how you
Yeah.
understand it?
I thought in order to make that originally adjusted, but I don't think anybody else is thinking that, so that's okay.
And I could be wrong.
No,
I mean, we
I
don't
thought
know.
with the 22, what we did this year, we gave everybody 22, then whenever he figured the budget, now you tell me if you're wrong, or if I'm wrong here. When he figured budget, he took that $22 a month that we gave everybody toward their insurance, roughly. And included that in what he considered the 3% possible raise to each of the departments. Because there again, I get a little confused on that part, because in my mind, we would be giving Augie the number of people you have in your department and saying, here's 3%, because I thought Augie still had the right to determination.
He still does.
What he can do with that amount of money.
Right.
That's what my understanding is. But the premise being is if he gave everybody the 3%, he was gonna take that 22 out. I thought for these people, we were giving them $22 and not taking that out of their 3%, because these are the people also that are still considerably behind per month on what we give people who take insurance, bottom line.
Okay, how I interpreted it was, when we did the budget was, if you take insurance, you've got 3%, say you're making $20,000 a year. You get 3%, which is $600, and then you subtract the $22 a month, which would be $264 off the 3%. If you did not take the insurance, then you simply got a 3% increase. That's how I took it. So you can see where Alan is saying, I mean, we both agree on the people taking insurance. There's not an issue there. On the people not taking insurance, he thinks that they should get the 3% raise plus the $22. And
Why aren't they getting the same as the other employees?
then that goes back to the philosophy where
I know why, but I'm asking
for
you.
years,
So
some of us don't consider it a package. We offered insurance to people. It's a personal choice whether they take it or not. We try to encourage them, if they're not taking it, to not take it. But to say that they automatically would have some parity there doesn't compute with some of us. It is a philosophy. You are never going to make them whole, okay? In other words, if you're working in one of the offices and you decide to take insurance, that's
You
the
don't
way it is.
consider it a total package of
I don't.
benefits. Okay.
I don't.
And See, I do.
And he does.
And
I
the only
think-
ones that can opt out have to have insurance somewhere else, correct?
That's correct. So why should, I mean, they've got insurance somewhere.
Well, that changed,
Why
that
should
changed
we
in Obama.
subsidize-
Yeah.
Why should we subsidize?
That,
issue.
until the Obamacare thing in, you didn't have to have insurance.
No, you had to if you had to take our insurance.
Yes.
No,
Before
no, wait, no,
Obamacare.
no, say that again
Yes.
now.
You had to prove that you had insurance, otherwise that, you had insurance with us.
What?
Yeah.
You mean, your county
You
employee,
couldn't
you,
have made them do that.
you can't make people take insurance up until last
Before that.
year.
Well, I'm sorry. Is that correct or not?
To get the opt-out, to get the additional opt-out.
No, no, I'm just talking about, oh, okay, the
Well, to
opt-out.
get the opt-out.
To
To get the
I-
opt-out, they had to show they had other
See, the
insurance.
opt-out money
Oh,
used to
okay,
be
yeah.
1,000, and we increased it to
I
500.
understand that, but I'm talking about,
People were gonna
you
pay
can't
a
force somebody to take
lot.
insurance.
I get you.
Okay.
I got it now.
Okay, so we're asking for clarification. Did I misunderstand, or did,
Yeah.
and to solve the problem, everything that they were paid was okay so far. We don't have to drag anything back. If the board agrees, or I misunderstood, then we'll just cut them another check, or include in their check, the $22 for 2 months, and go on.
I think Augie's got a copy of that meeting. What was the,
Well, he was,
What did it-
I didn't even tell you what Augie's interpretation was.
oh,
Augie interpreted it third way. They were going to, and as I, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, for who was gonna opt out, were gonna have $22 taken out of their paycheck, even though I opted out, and then pay them the $22.
The way we understood it, the way I understood it was that it's paid out, the opt-out's paid out in November. And that they were gonna get the same $22 that we get, and then it would come off the pay. And that was effective October 1st. So even though I had taken insurance, the raise is not effective till December 1st. I was still seeing it in the premium effective October 1, and then also November. So to pay them their opt-out in November, that includes 10 months of the old, 2 months of the new, it would have been totaled in with what they received in their check. And then the 3%, was my understanding, treat everybody the same, and their 3% raise, that $22 would be taken off there. So when the logistics comes through to start doing the payroll, that's what we need clarification on. Because obviously that is
I
misunderstanding.
guess my question was, did that clarify it or not?
They're not seeing what we're seeing, are they?
Well,
Is that $32,000?
We saw where it says treat the opt-out the same as everybody, so that's where that originated.
It's expensive.
alls I took it upon myself just to have this brief video of that brief meeting that we had. It's 16 minutes long. We discussed insurance, and I guess what I took from it was we're going to treat all the employees the same. Now, it's here. It's 16 minutes. If you want to watch it, fine. If you don't want to, it's the September 17th video. When you get back home and you want to watch it, you can. I just make it available. So,
Well, when do we have to make a decision? Are we supposed to be making a decision?
Should
Well-
have already, right?
See,
Alan thought
basically,
we'd already made the
I thought we
decision.
had to, and you thought we had to.
Yeah.
I mean, we both
So
thought we
we're
had.
asking for
I don't really care.
clarification.
I don't
No.
need to sit through another 16 minutes of anything today myself.
So
I
you're
don't
saying we
care.
haven't made the decision?
No, because see, I thought, here's what the deal was, if I remember correctly. They had the $500, this is the people who opt out, Mike or whoever's. And then this is, again, we went over, I don't know how many times, September, whatever it was one of them, I'm sure, and then everything else. That was, they get $500 per year, which is about, what, $41.67 a month.
There's 22 people.
And then, had it down for 27, but
We lost
I
some
don't
of
know.
those people.
On the last time around.
It's
Yes.
22.
I don't have this.
That's what we paid last year, but some of those people are gone now.
Totally.
Um,
Is this the one, you have this one for the new one then?
Well, we checked this morning.
That's a
it's
whole different
22.
story, but if you have, anyway, so 22. Anyway, so you have, they get the 41.67. Then they got $30 a month from last year. And they're supposed to get $22 a month from this year. That's about a $93.67 a month, what their benefit. If you took PPO1, The average PPO, I won't even do that. The average PPO gets $462.16 benefit per month.
So it boils down to philosophy.
Right.
I mean, it's,
And
you know where I stand and you know where Alan stands.
Well, and the thing about it is I have a concern, and as some people who work and take advantage of those different options have a concern, like, why do some of them even get $477.94 per month, and I'm taking the one where I get $450 a month? These are people who are even taking it. It's a whole philosophy thing, you're right. Because some people who are even taking advantage of stuff, they have a difference of about $28 per month between the high and the low.
That's because of the Affordable Care Act, the interest and the
I'm not
insurance.
saying what it's
yeah.
for of, I'm just
But I mean,
saying the
that's why there's a
dollars is what
difference
the
on it.
premium is, right? So, you know what I'm saying? So, we have this already with.
We have a discrepancy.
Yeah, and so I really don't care, I understand now what Jeff was saying.
And I
if
I
that's
didn't
where you're
understand
at-
what he was saying.
I was
I'm
thinking
not
that we
mad
did
or
the 20,
anything.
no, I'm not either, because I'm just thinking, I thought the 22, they would get 3% on top of that 22 based on the fact that they're already down
How did you
350
understand, Carl?
bucks. So I just say let it ride, it works better in your budget.
Well, no,
That
I,
makes sense, Billy, yeah, that's not, that's what you gave me before. That's
To
what
me,
it
if they're
says.
gonna get a
There's nothing
3% pay raise, and
Can you send that to me?
all the other employees
I loved how you
get
put this
22 deducted,
yellow
they
and
should get
green,
22 deducted.
You know,
Yeah,
That
about
negates the
it.
3% though, Carl, why give
Pardon?
them, that
Can you
negates,
send
I mean, that
me-
takes up,
This was helpful, this,
what is it, 10% maybe? Of the 3% raise? You see what I'm saying? You give them money to pay for something, they don't really get a benefit. If you give them a 5% raise or a 10% raise, then, and then we take that 22 back, that's a negligible. If you give them a 3% raise on a lot of people's check, that is 22. So you're not really giving them anything. You're giving it, but you're turning around and taking it back. I see that every year. If I get a raise, insurance always eats it. So I'm no further ahead.
So you
or
understand?
you know.
Yeah, I
is that what
understand
happened to
exactly.
you when you ran
Mr.
yours?
Chairman, I
Were
think
you
we've made this thing
actually seeing a
terribly
deficit?
complicated.
Yes.
With the
You
taking
know,
off
and
of
we,
$22.
what we need to do is maybe,
You know, like when we gave you, because you don't take insurance. I don't take insurance. So like when we gave you $22.
this is for him as much as anything.
I just want to double check with Augie, so I have
in my brain. So if we gave you the 22, were you actually seeing
I
a
don't
deficit?
understand it either way.
Well, and that's
my
part of the
In your
problem.
paycheck?
I mean, it should be
have
that.
no
That's what I'm worried about.
I'll have to look.
Okay, that's what I thought you meant, you already checked and looked up, like,
No,
No,
this will be the first time with the
okay.
22, this first
That's what I
check
thought you
comes
It's
meant.
in.
coming out.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Well,
I'm with
look
you,
at Mike's
I'm
line.
willing to go along with what you said, or my stance on it.
I think
I-
we should really look at getting this simplified over the next few months, so when we go into next year, we have a plan that everybody can understand. Maybe, you know, what do we offer, 6 plans now?
5.
Okay, maybe we ought to offer 1 plan.
I started to say, nobody took that 5th plan that we
I'm just saying,
added.
let's boil it down where there's not a $27 discrepancy here and not here, and offer the plan.
Maybe we should offer a cafeteria where we offer them $1. Not a dollar, but a figure. Say $426.
I think,
Depending on whatever
what
they
I'm
want.
saying is that we all need to figure this
And
out
that's their problem.
in the next few months so that we can have a path forward, so this doesn't become an issue.
Right, because I think that
And
goes along with
include
the
a
idea
couple
of
of
knowing
employees
exactly what
on
it
this
was.
deal.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so so they can have some input and that it's fair and we, you know, we can only
How
do
many
what.
employees actually look at it?
Well, they do at the time, some
Yeah,
of
that's
them
what
do,
I'm
ask
saying,
Billy
yeah.
Ann.
Yeah.
We need some,
She gets it when it gets down to
Yeah,
the
Day before.
time frame,
Yeah.
the time frame and
we
looking
need
at
some
that.
fair
Because
input.
yeah, because the idea being that much of a difference, but there always has, not just lately.
Right.
Whenever I started looking at these 2 years ago, whenever it was, there was a difference in what was
Give them
offered
some
within those
insurance
people
and say
taking the
that's what-
plan.
Put it where you wanna put it. If you
And,
have to pay
and that may be all
money
right,
back.
maybe we as a county say,
Yeah.
that's okay. I'm just saying, personally, I don't think that's okay myself.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah,
I
and that's what I'm
appreciate
saying. And even within that range of who's taking advantage of the healthcare, I think that needs to be simplified a little bit. And also the idea of how much we're actually giving people a benefit through opt-out. So that's more codified, and instead of, so we don't have to remember, well, it was 500, it used to be 1,000, then we added $30 a month last year, and this year we're adding 22.
Yeah.
set it kind of as a
3
yearly
years from now,
basis.
the word's gonna go.
Yeah,
How many companies actually give 5 options for their employees?
a lot of
A
people get
lot
more
do.
than that.
I mean,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
We've got
The
like
other thing,
12, I think.
we've got
Hospital only gives
contracts,
you one, that's the reason why.
we have contracts coming up, and we need, rather than wait till later, maybe if we had some of this stuff figured out by spring,
Yes.
then we have something to deal with.
Yeah, you're right.
And we could get a better parity on, and have some rationales besides how we're gonna approach things.
Yeah,
Does that make sense, Carl?
but your contracts are totally separate than a lot of this other stuff, because
Well, it directly
some of those
affects
people
it.
don't pay.
Yeah, but they say, well, you're giving these guys this, or they're, you know,
And that's why, exactly, it's
that's
about
part
what
of
I'm
the
saying.
discussions we
Because
have.
part of the discussion I had with people who work also in the county say, well, those people under contract, they only pay $40 or whatever.
20-some.
20-something, 40-something, they're two
40-something.
different ones.
Right.
Yeah,
We've got 3 different rates going
Yeah.
and Pam has to figure. We
Yeah.
got the probation department, we got the union, and we got the regs.
right, that's why I say, so that's even, because when we went
So
through
tell
all
me,
that stuff.
fine, what are we supposed to do?
We're not
with
gonna
this?
change anything. Right?
The
Tell me
20
exactly
how
what I'm
about, how
supposed
about
to
the, let's see if this is correct.
Right.
For the
That
opt-out.
20, that 22 is considered what, Jeff? Just tell her
Part
that.
of the 3%.
Part of the 3%.
For the
Can
opt-out
you do
also.
that? I mean, does that make sense?
What we did, since
that what
there
you're
was a
saying?
question.
So we
I
don't
mean, is
have
that
to
the general
change
plan?
anything.
Okay,
Other
well,
than
checks were
Mike,
cut the
not from
21st.
I
So
vote for you.
the opt-out,
They only got the 30, they didn't get the
they only got the
22.
30. they
That's
didn't get the
correct.
So
22.
that's correct.
That's the way we left it.
No, I know. They're getting 22 this year.
Well, because we didn't know, right, Jeff? We just did
Okay.
500 plus 30 times
Plus 30
10.
is all we
Oh, for
paid.
the extra pay.
I think-
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So they got
Opt-out.
they got an $800 instead of $844. So
Right.
now do I owe them that October, November 44, 22 a month?
The opt-outs,
No, I mean,
Oh,
oh, wouldn't
So
it?
we do on their
For
next
2
check?
months, but not for the rest of the year.
No, it would just be 2 months because it
Yeah.
effective October to the end of fiscal year.
October, November.
October, November.
But then a year from
I
now,
thought we
it
did.
would still be 530,
I still think you owe them
but
that.
no 22. Is that correct?
Should.
530.
Well, we do do it.
What I'm saying is,
Actually make money.
800,
No,
500
that's
plus
against law. We
right,
300.
it'd just be 800 a year
We gotta
from
get
now
minimum
too.
wage now.
30,
No.
no,
No.
Mike's 30 a
See,
month.
I don't know what
Right.
he's
And it
saying,
was only-
360.
No, it was 10 months.
Right.
So it's 300. 30 for 10
because we
months.
prepaid some of that.
You're on fiscal year and I'm on total year. I
Yeah.
got
Too late to apologize?
What do you say?
you. No, I was just
So what do I
double checking
do?
Do
fiscal
you
year.
agree? I mean, so we owe them $22 for 2 months?
Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I was saying, but that's what they're saying.
I don't see how you can pay that for 2 months if that's not your agreed upon idea that for the whole year, they're not getting that $22. Here's where I jump, I think, on your side, Jeff. If you're saying that $22 is inclusive with their 3%, well, that's inclusive within their 3%.
Right.
And they never get $22 extra.
But why do you think they deserve $22? Or 44, guys, from the year?
Do you mean the opt-out people?
Yeah,
Well, without this discussion, which we did not have at that last, the September meeting, it was all about, we're gonna treat everybody the same. We're gonna treat everybody the same.
That's
So
that's
if,
true.
if you give the employees who take insurance $22, you should give $22 to those who are opting out also.
they didn't, but the people that are taking insurance didn't get the extra $22.
Yes, they did, because
Yeah,
we're
they
paying
did.
less on the premium. We're
Yeah.
paying $22 less on the premium.
Yeah, they are.
Because it gets so complicated
Oh, okay,
because.
okay,
Yes,
so then they would get the $44 just for 2 months?
right.
Okay.
That's what we had done, but we stopped it.
No,
Yeah.
and I knew that.
So I owe them $44, all the
But that's
opt-out
it.
people, the next check.
Yes,
it.
that's all
Until
we're
next-
saying. We wanted
Next
clarification.
fiscal year, or
Okay.
next,
No, then you don't owe them the $22 next year.
not for January, February through October.
No,
Why's that?
because,
We get it off of our premium for the whole time.
right.
See, and that's what
And
my point was
and I-
originally, Jeff.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
So if you're gonna treat everybody the same,
Okay, they're not on your premium.
No.
The opt-out
That's why you
people,
have good
No.
discussion. That's part of it.
Came out of our premium for our whole.
I don't understand it either way,
October.
so.
right.
We do it fiscal, so they get two
A
months.
lot of
That's
times,
So when the opt-out, if they're being treated the same, get the
All times you
22,
find
when
out
they
you're
go
saying
on
the
in
same
next
thing
year, they
about
get the
right.
22 from then
No,
on.
because
Yeah,
they
well,
didn't get
paying
their
your
3%
Medicare
reduced
supplement.
by $22.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's
Okay.
a whole lot less than insurance.
What?
So they're not getting
No, my
their
Medicare
3%, the
supplement
opt-out,
is
or not getting
$47
$22 off their 3% raise.
No,
Retirement system.
they're getting paid straight 3%.
It's gonna cost me about.
So then why are we giving them October, November?
Well, that was my question.
What did you do
Well,
for people that
I
aren't,
pay 107 for
that
Medicare
aren't on the
and
opt-out?
47
Did you give them an extra $22 for
Premium
those 2
was
months
due-
to pay
The new
that?
premium was due October 1st, so effective October 1st and November.
They got, in addition to their raise from last year, they got $22 for October and November.
180.
In addition to their raise.
In addition to whatever they were being paid.
With the ARP.
This, for whatever they're being paid this year.
Yes.
See what I'm
Right,
saying?
yes.
And so that's why I thought it was gonna be the whole thing, but the 2 months,
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not gonna make
That's
my
less than your
suggestion.
retirement.
you get
That's
paid
when you're on Medicare.
whatever it is,
Well,
okay?
you're on Medicare, you gotta know.
For the last 2
Yeah,
months,
but
you also gave all those people who were in the insurance program an extra $22 for October and November.
The monthly premium, right, the premium.
Right, so they didn't have to pay an extra $22 in my,
These two-
Right,
so
they
let's
didn't
all
have
figure this out.
insurance company. These
But
two
in
go on
my
site
mind,
and-
those people
And
who,
Andy has to be the rep,
didn't-
when he's on the insurance committee.
Who didn't.
And when they get done,
Like
it's like,
10% penalty each year.
who
that you
did
don't
not
sign
take
up. Yeah.
insurance, then they deserve that $22
Right, just
for
the
October
44.
and November.
So give them 44.
But you get
That's
$10
it.
every-
We're done.
Okay,
And we're
but now,
done.
but now here, now I wanna go
The
farther.
government's got you, I mean, they got you about.
Now for this next year, next fiscal year, are you not giving them $22 on insurance?
He's
You're
saying
taking
no.
that, right, and that's what, and that's where I was saying you are, but you're saying that 22 is included in with that. So that's where we're at now, if I'm correct.
Right.
You're gonna give $22 to everybody for these last 2 months.
Right.
I get 25.
But then he's saying,
make a motion.
the next one is,
Put back.
for this next fiscal year,
I'm always
It's
it's just
telling you,
3%. We just gave people
Because I'm not,
3%.
we're not deducting anything from them.
The only advantage is
Okay, so they've got the-
they pay
So in my mind,
most of
see
your
what,
prescription unless
see
you're
what,
on the,
what you're saying is that you're
tier
giving
one, tier
them
two, tier
3%.
three. So if you stay on.
So
the
you're really
generic
not
one,
anymore
you
paying
get
22
get
extra
up to the
for
tier three,
their
which is non-generic.
insurance. That's just in your,
Right.
No, that's true.
that's what I'm saying.
Eventually they will do.
So they got 3%
My wife
more
takes
money.
Apple's not on-
It's just that you're taking 22 of that dollars and putting that toward some sort of an insurance program or a non-insurance program, which hopefully, especially those people taking insurance, that's gonna be a better benefit, because it's actually like you're getting $33 in benefits, because it's coming off prior to taxes.
Which would be better for the employee, and I said this before, if we could have just paid the extra 22, because then it would have ran through our IMRF and our social
It
security.
depends on which way you're looking at it.
Well,
Rather than
right.
pre
But
tax,
the-
it's a bigger
no,
benefit.
it's all depends on how you look at it. It's whole insurance stuff, it's just,
Okay, so you're gonna pay them $44 for the last 2 months of this fiscal year, and then
We'll have these meetings.
that will be it. Until the board comes up with a new plan next year. Okay?
Yeah, there is.
You and Jeff go outside fighting. Andy's on it, he can be the
You want that liquor
rep.
license, don't you, Andy?
okay, so you guys got it, here's got it.
Next month. You got it next month.
And we'll try this again. Because we're in different fiscal years, that's what's causing the problem. We gave everybody $22 toward insurance. So we gave that starting in October and November. So everybody's getting like 44 extra dollars for this past fiscal year to pay for.
That's not taking insurance.
That is and is.
It's not taking insurance.
That's
No,
not
that's
taking,
taking
because they already
insurance,
get the benefits if they're
They
taking
get
insurance.
benefit of
No.
insurance.
Their premium is lowered by,
Yeah.
By
that's what I'm saying. They got $22
Right,
too.
right.
Yeah,
They got
everybody
the
got
22.
$22 technically.
Right.
yes.
I agree with that.
Okay, good. They all technically got $22 for October and November.
Right.
Starting the next fiscal year, a part of their 3% raise is $22 a month for insurance benefits. No matter if they're taking the policy, not taking the policy, they're getting $22 out of that 3%, whatever their salary is.
For how many
Get
Where they
months?
wanna put
For
it.
10 months.
That's
For
right.
10
10
months.
months.
Until we start this whole episode again.
Billy Ann, do
Yes.
whatever the hell you think is right.
Yeah, that's
Don't pay
right.
attention to
Don't
my
tell-
old
Listen,
man.
Emerald.
Well, I did, it was a mess. I didn't do it right.
No, and we dealt
Well,
with
there's,
it fine,
and that's the
Billy
same thing
Ann.
we
I
got
mean,
into last year, remember?
Don't
Because
tell us
of
what
the
to
end of the
do.
fiscal year
Yeah.
and the extra 30 and
Well,
how
that
it's gonna be paid.
That makes sense.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
now that we're back here on insurance and, did he steal my sheet of paper? I think he took it. Well, maybe I put it someplace. Anyway, what else do we have on this,
I don't have
insurance
anything.
finance?
That's all that's on the agenda.
That's what I thought. I'm looking for it again now.
You want mine?
Pick up my
Closed session.
my agenda.
Billy, do you just do what you wanna do and don't tell us?
And
what
nobody,
to do?
I just confused y'all.
Oh,
telling
don't
me
do
I did.
that. No, no, no. I'm still doing respect. Okay, do we need a, closed session to discuss appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or anything else?
No, sir.
I'll make a
Seeing
motion
none,
to adjourn.
I'm looking for,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
can you make that off of a finance and insurance committee? Can you do
I
that?
am.
You just adjourned the meeting.
And Carlson and.
I'm not on that committee.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay. Andy, did you say second? Thank God for small things. All right.
Aye.
And all opposed? No. All in favor?
Speak up, I'll knock you
All
down.
opposed, same sign.